Yo, what's up? So again, this is now live ES futures 934, 935. I'm just gonna basically, as the order flow is printing, I'm just gonna kind of break down what I see, what I don't see, just giving you a real time outlook as to what I think the market's gonna do, right? So a couple of things. I just made a post over on School. So what I'm saying is order flow. I use the ATAS platform for order flow. You don't have to use ATAS. You can use ATAS, Sierra Charts, Motive. You can use something, right? But the main message is, drop your ego. So I want you to know that ego is the greatest enemy of a trader. So the bad news is that humans are naturally egotistical, while most of us being in the space under 35. The worst news is that most people who are egotistical do not think they are egotistical, and this is why 90% of people entering the markets fail. It's not 90% of traders fail, because if 90% of traders fail, then hardly anyone would be making money. 90% of people entering the markets fail, right? And that's because when people enter the markets, they enter with huge amounts of ego, right? And what's even worse is that people who are egotistical don't realize they're egotistical, and that's where the phrase of 90% of people, 90% of traders fail, right? But I would just tweak that and say 90% of people who enter the markets fail, right? And what's even worse is that there's an easy way to break the cycle, and most people see it right in front of them, but they never actually look to break the cycle, right? So just trade price action instead of trying to predict it, right? You have the opportunity to, so do, all right? So, it's not a difficult concept to understand, right? So once you have your levels, assuming you know how to get your levels, let's say you have a level here on ES, right? So I'm looking at this ES level. This is 70.10 to 70.06, right? This sort of level here. Now, there's nothing in this price action here which indicates to us that this level is actually, a level. We have no way of actually knowing that, right? There's no way of actually knowing that. So the number of traders I see when I ask them, like, how do they trade or what's their strategy? What you want to understand as traders is that your progression as a trader will eventually lead you towards order flow, right? The reason I say that is because there is no other way to trade the markets that actually makes sense long term. And I say that as someone who's lost 17 grand in my first couple of years, so I understand how it works, right? So when we're reading this, we sort of want to understand that the best way to remove emotions in the market isn't to even journal them, right? It's to completely get rid of them by reading the market and by reading and reacting instead of guessing and gambling. This is the way you want to do it. Now, I don't trade the first 15 minutes. I never trade the first 15 minutes because I think the first 15 minutes are for markets to kind of let it show its hand, right? So if I go to TradingView, right, and just break down what I'm looking at strategically here, right? I mean, we're heading towards this all-time high, right? I mean, ES has been massively bullish in the last, 1-2 weeks, especially in April. So here's the all-time high. Will we get to the all-time high, right? Will we get? I think we're going to see a correction at some point before we eventually head up there. Now, you don't want to try and call the top or whatever, right? You just want to, ride the wave for as long as you can, right? But if we go to the 15M, what you would have noticed is that this is where pattern recognition becomes very important. And so I often think as a trader, you don't want to trade patterns, but you want to recognize overall themes. So you can call it pattern recognition. So if you can see Wednesday the 18th, we had a melt off. Wednesday the 25th, we had a melt off. 1st of April, we had a melt off. We had a small melt off on the 8th of April too. So all of these, if you notice, are Wednesdays. And so I record this on a Wednesday, right? So let us see what this market session will do, right? So what I'm looking at specifically is, I don't think we're going to get, if you look at this market open, it's pretty bullish, right? But, it is what it is. So let's just see what we end up getting. So I will not trade unless price comes to one of my levels. When price is ripping higher, it is quite difficult to catch somewhat of a trade. There's nothing left. I don't want to force anything. There's nothing left. Sorry, there's nothing to the left that gives us an indication for, lower prices. There's nothing here from February. I don't see anything here specifically that gives us, the move. But yeah, let's just see what we get. I want to be patient, right? This is how I'm looking for it in real time. Most of my actual trading is me sitting there waiting for levels to be here. It's not fun. It's not exciting. It's not, anything fun, right? It's coming back to here. So I'll finish on this as well. So, ego is the greatest enemy. Maybe read this in your own time. clean retest into this zone. Now, if we break above sort of 14, I'll have my stops below. I'll have my stops at 6, and I'll buy at 14. So 14 minus 6 is 8. 5 times 8, right? So 17 contracts of risk, right? Let's just do this. 17 contracts of risk, right? I need to see price get above here first. So we're just waiting. There we go. I've got to see price get above. We see aggressive selling, right? We see this aggressive selling here. So for me, this is sort of, I mean, we have this huge absorption. Look at those sellers there, right? And this is sort of the break. So this is the retest phase right now. Right here, you see this is the retest phase. Now, if this is the retest phase, I have to see price get above the body of this candle here. So this is 70.14. I have to see it get above 70.14. You know, this is a green candle. We see sellers printing here, right? So notice how a candlestick chart doesn't really show you anything, right? The candlestick chart doesn't show you much, and so I am actually cautious. I don't necessarily. I mean, this level from London is here, right? This is the London level, right? FEG. Now, ideally, because we're at the daily opening price, I'm not sure. Like, I kind of just want to ride the trend. I kind of want to see price do this, but I don't know. I don't know. This is why I use the order flow to assist me, right? In my direction, in my execution. Like, if you're trading without order flow, then something is wrong. Something's wrong. So we're just going to wait patiently, right? If order flow wants to take an hour or half an hour, whatever, however long it wants to take, then that's how long it's going to take. You know, I don't see why there we go. Okay. So what do we see now? Okay. Brilliant. So, okay. Let's switch bias. So let's have our stops above. Let's have our stops at 15. If we're going short now, let's have our stops at 15. And we are now selling back down. So let's just say 69.50, right? If we're going to go short. So we've had break. This is I genuinely need to see what's happening in this zone right now. So here's my stops and all that. This is my stop loss. But I need to see what's going on in this zone here, right? Okay, this is a real-time rejection. Wow. Look at them sellers, right? Look at all those sellers, right? So if we can get above here, which I think we might, right? Then I'll have my stops. I'd have my stops at 06, and I'll be happy to target 70. Well, targets we can put aside for now. I'll be happy to target this high up here, right? That's what I'm looking for. So again, I've got to see price get up to here at least. So 6 and then 14. Now, if I risk $700 on this account, 5 times 14 minus 6, that comes out to be 17 points of risk. So let's do it. Let's see it. I need whoa buy. Okay. As soon as it gets above about 14, we're gonna have to buy. Right, as soon as it gets above 14. So as soon as it gets above 14, 70 14. I have to see price get above there. Now if it doesn't, then I won't buy. Right, I won't buy. It has to get above 14. And if it doesn't, then so right now I'm looking at rejection of sellers over here. This was at 44 past, 9:44. This was at 9:52. Right, look at these aggressive sellers, right? Even this green candle, this one here, right? Aggressive sellers, right? I would happily, if we can get above here, I would happily have my stop here at 6, maybe even maybe pushing 7. But I just don't want to enter here. This to me is not an entry, right? We've had break. This is the retest phase, the most important phase. So until we get above 14, I'm not going to go long. So right now, if we just zoom into this, right now, we're inside the 15-minute range. There we go. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. Come Come on, yes. See, this is what we call impulse. This is impulse, right? This is controlling impulse, right? Yes, we're seeing rejection of sellers, but we're also seeing somewhat of a rejection of buyers. And so it's our job to understand that, right? So we've come into a level. We need to understand what price is doing at the at the level, right? So just we need to have a good read on price. If we don't have a good read on price, then we cannot enter. So, yep. $13, 12, 12. Oh. 56, 956. Oh, 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 oh. Okay, come on. Patience. Okay, come on. Come on now. As soon as it gets above here, right? This line here, 14. This is the break the body, right? It has to get above here. Otherwise, I'm not interested. Oh, let's go on, yes. Something's stopping it. Something is stopping it. Some mystical. There's a force here. Okay. Let me see what it does. 13. 13. We're still at 13. 13. 13. 14.
Order placed.
There we go. Okay. Okay. You see that?
Order cancelled.
We did have to wait, but we got there in the end. So, whew, what a wait. Okay. So, first target will be there.
Order cancelled.
There you go. Okay. So, I'm going to ride this up to $1,000, right? I'm going to ride this
Order
up to
cancelled.
Up to $1,000, I'm going to ride this, right? So, yeah. Let's see what we get. So I'm just going to, more importantly, I'm just going to screenshot what I saw there because I think that's super valuable for everyone to see. This here is valuable. That is true value. That is true value, right? Okay. Right. Yeah. Gonna stop now. I'm gonna clock back in. Actually, no, I'll keep the recording going because I think it's fun to watch. Okay. Let's see what we end up getting. So, boom. We are riding the wave. We are riding the wave. Okay. So, I'm going to start trailing my stop. So, I'm going to be risking
Order cancelled.
less than 600. So, I'm going to be risking about 550. So, 550. Yeah, 550. And I would like to see price coming to the 15-minute high. The 15-minute range high. You know, at minimum. So, ride, baby, ride. Just watch it ride. Oh, God. Oh, God. Now it's coming back. It's coming back to test. It's coming back. It's coming back. It's coming back. It's coming back. Oh. Oh. So this is where we have to assess, right? We have to assess. So if we close sort of below, if we close below the entry, then I will have to close. But so far, it's not a bad trade per se. It's just taking a while to form. Oh, now we're riding. Let's see. Okay, so entries, so 14 and 7. So if you go to trading view, 14 and then 7, right? So 14, which was here, and then 7, which is like there. Okay, so I'm looking for a 1, 2, 1.5 here. Yeah. I'm a bit cautious of this one. I'm a bit cautious, but hopefully, I mean, a 1 to 2 is the max I'd go on this, but can we ride this? You know, can we ride this? Because there was significant absorption here, so, you know, damn, gone. Spy, you know. Oh, pardon me. Burping on the stream. Right. Let's just cover this wick. This top wick here. Let's just cover this wick. Watching this thing fly, you know. Jesus. Jeez. Gonna move the stops a little bit, you know.
Order cancelled.
Gonna get them back there. Look at that. Look at that rejection. That's mad. Jeez. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes. Playing them games with me. I'm gonna snip this. You know. I'm gonna snip this. I'm gonna do this. Gonna take this. Gonna take this. Or when we get to this high, basically. So when we get to 70, 25, I'm going to close 70, 25, right? 70, 25, 70, 25, right? 70, 25, 70, 25. Okay, so now we want to be selling. We want to be getting out of majority of the position, right? So 24. Yo. Yeah. Come on. 24. Oh, 25. You know what?
Order filled.
I've closed most of it. Well done, everyone. Well done, team. Well done,
Order
team.
cancelled.
The greatest long ever. That was the greatest long ever caught in the history of humanity, right? That was the greatest long ever. So I'm just going to ride this wave.
Order cancelled.
Hey, welcome everyone. So I'm going to make this very quick video going over this spectacular trade, which I've now closed the majority of the position. So I'm going to be breaking down how I caught this trade, right? So basically, we come into this key level here. So the level itself was called before market open, right? So let's break this one. Let's break this one down. So my pre-market game plan, it looks something like this. Right, let me give you another one. So, oh my gosh, there we go. Here was the plan. So I had this key level at 60, so let's just say 70-10, right? 70-10 was the level. Now, you can see here very categorically that I have said that I don't know if we're going long or short. You need to read the order flow. So I'm going to be making this quick video for you to understand the frameworks behind the order flow. Because if you're not trading with order flow, there's something wrong with you. So let's quickly break down what I mean by that. So if we go to James, for example, right? So James is a student of mine. So let's just take this one. So here we go. So positioning, price. So I'm going to be focusing now on price specifically, right? How do we read price? We read the bid and ask, we evaluate the delta, we assess the aggression, and we detect zeros. Let's break each of these down one by one. How do you read the market? How do you read the market? Right? So you read the market by using this thing here. So what we can see here, let's focus on this candle, because this candle here allowed me to execute long, right? This is how I caught the longs at 70-14 roughly. So let's see. So first we're going to read the bid and ask. So read the bid and ask. The left number is the bid, the right number is the ask, right? So let's just crack this quickly. So left number is the bid, right? Right number is the ask. So for example, if we just take a look at here, 407 for 218, right? 407 for 218. What does that tell you? Right, it tells you that there's 407 aggressive sell orders and there's 218 aggressive buy orders. Right, I'll repeat that. 407 sell orders and 218 buy orders. And so once you've understood that, you then want to evaluate the delta. So when you evaluate the delta, what you want to understand with that is that the delta is the right number minus the left number. And so the right number here would be 218 and the left number here would be, of course, 407. And so when you calculate the delta, you're doing the right number minus the left number. And when you do the right number minus the left number, what that means is you end up with 218 minus 407. Let me just do that right. So 407. You end up with negative 189, or you end up with a negative number. And so that basically means that the delta is going to be negative. It's going to be red. Right, and you can see here by looking at the delta profile, right, that we have a lot of negative delta towards the bottom, hence why the bars are longer. So this was the rejection candle, and this was the other rejection candle here, right? This is super interesting. Green candle, we have the rejection of the key level. So once again, you want to evaluate the delta, you want to assess the aggression. So E and A come together very nicely. So once you understand E and A, you then want to say, okay, who is aggressive? It is the sellers in this case. Sellers are aggressive purely because you can see the red delta inside the candles. And the final thing is detect the zeros. You want to detect those zeros. So what I mean by detecting zeros is you can see here at the bottom, there's 65 for 0, 12 for 0, 18 for 0. So you're trading away from the zeros. Now, you could also argue there's zeros at the top. Here, here, here. There's zeros at the top, and you could make that argument. However, that's where we use another entry model, which is the Bolt Breakout Blueprint. So I'm going to go to TradingView and just explain this. It'll be a lot easier. So if we go here, and for example, what you'll see on the lower time frames is this. You will see a break and retest. And so the break and retest looks like this. We saw break, we saw retest, and then my entry was here. This is the Bolt Breakout Blueprint. Break, optimal retest, liquidity absorption, and then I pull the trigger. So let's start with break, right? So this was the break here. Break, this is B. Optimal retest, this is O. And then O, and here, this is the L, so this is the liquidity absorption, and then we pull the trigger around here. That's what BOLT stands for. So we want to see BOLT, optimal retest, liquidity absorption. These two can happen at the same time, and then we pull the trigger. That's the Bolt Breakout Blueprint. Now, you're never going to be able to take breakouts without order flow, and so if that offends you, switch off this channel right now, or just switch off this screen, right? You cannot trade the markets without reading them, right? I don't know how else to explain it. But once you've really understood that, what we can see here is a fantastic long. Markets are flying in our direction. So really good trade, and I'm willing to hold this up to 35. The reason I'm willing to hold this up to 35 or 70-35, there we go. 1 to 2.5 hit. The reason I'm willing to hold it up to that area is because of this, right? It's because of this, right? We have the 15-minute high from here, from high. I think this is the high of Feb, right? The high of Feb. I think we're going to take that out, right? I think we will take that out. So I am looking to ride the wave up till that point. But yeah, I mean, this was a fantastic trade, right? Execution, again, I broke down the execution like here. Yeah. So go and study this chart.